Part 2. The first time it played, summoning rain, justice. The talking drum, Ayanlomo, had changed everything in Odanani. People no longer argued as they once did. When someone was angry, they would go sit near the drum and listen to it being played. After a while, their hearts softened, and their voices came back with gentler tones. Children began asking more questions, not just about now, but about before. What was grandmother like when she was my age? What did our people do before there were roads? Why do we wear white during naming ceremonies? And each time the elders answered, the drum would beat softly, bie, as if nodding, saying, yes. That is the truth. Say it again. Odanani grew strong in spirit. But Orodin knew the drum wasn't meant only for one village. He had heard it in the rhythms. The calling was bigger than this place. So one morning, as the cock crowed and the dew kissed the yam leaves, he placed the drum on his back and set off on foot. He walked for days. Through forests thick with secrets. Across rivers that glowed under moonlight. Past small farms and friendly strangers who offered him kola nuts and millet cakes. Wherever he stopped to rest, he would play the drum. Not loudly. Just enough to stir the air. And something amazing happened. People came. From behind trees, from houses, from fields. Old men with scars from old battles. Young girls who had never heard a drum before. Even mothers carrying babies on their backs. They all came. And when they heard the drum, they cried. Not from sadness, but from remembering something they didn't even know they'd forgotten. In a town called Eragbiji, an elder named Bobaton stood still for nearly 10 minutes as Arodin played. When Arodin stopped, Bobaton took off his cap and said, "My boy, I have not heard my grandfather's voice in 40 years. But when you played just now, I heard him again." "Thank you." Arodin bowed low. "It is not me, Boba. It is the drum. I am only the hands." Word of the drum spread. People began calling it Arodin's miracle. Others called it the spirit voice. Some simply called it the remembering drum. But not everyone rejoiced. Far away, in a place where chiefs no longer bowed to tradition, where trade with white strangers brought coin instead of culture, there was a man named Agio. He wore fine cloth and rings on every finger. He believed that the only way forward was to forget the past. When his servants told him about the boy and his drum, he laughed. A drum. A boy. What can a tree and a skin tell us that books and money cannot? But when he heard that the people were gathering around Arodin, listening to him instead of the palace, singing old songs instead of new ones, he became afraid. "Bring me that drum," he said, "and bring me the boy who plays it." Back in Odanani, the people prepared for Odin I, the festival of life, a celebration of ancestors, harvest, and new beginnings. This year would be special. For the first time ever, the drum would speak not just to the village, but to all of Yorubaland. Messengers had run to nearby towns. Kings and traders, farmers and drummers, all were invited to come and listen. Arodin sat beneath the talking tree, the same Iroko that gave the drum, and waited. He watched the clouds drift like silent messengers across the sky. He felt something in the air. Not fear, not yet. But a change. The kind of change that walks on quiet feet. The kind that comes with wide smiles but empty hearts. The kind that doesn't understand drums because it never listens. The kind that forgets. That night, the stars burned bright, and the people gathered around great fires. Food was shared. Songs were sung. Elders told tales of Ogun, of Oromala, of Umoja's tears that formed rivers. And at the heart of it all sat Arodin, with Ayanlomo between his knees. He struck the first beat. And the sky seemed to sigh. He played slowly. Steadily. Each beat like a footstep on sacred ground. Ba, ta, bie ta bie. The people swayed. They closed their eyes. They saw their fathers, their mothers, their first memories, their forgotten dreams. Even the baby stopped crying. The drum was not just music. It was home. But just outside the village, in the darkness of the trees, someone was watching. A man with gold rings and a proud mouth. A man who had never bowed to the Orisha. A man who feared only one thing, memory. Ajil had come. And in his hand, he carried a small scroll. Not for reading. For command. The festival of life in Odanani was unlike any seen before. People from every corner of the land had come, drummers from Ilife, dancers from Osogbo, praise singers from Ibadan, even market women from Ekiti carrying baskets of spices and wisdom. The air buzzed with laughter, music, and sweet smoke from roasting yam and goat meat. But deep beneath the joy, something darker stirred. Not everyone had come to celebrate. Just before sunrise, Arodin woke from a dream. He had seen a fire, not one that warmed, but one that swallowed. He stood in the center of the village, holding his drum, but when he tried to play it, no sound came. He looked up, and the Iroko tree had vanished. All around him, people walked with their hands over their ears. They did not hear him. They did not even see him. And the worst part, he could not remember the names of his ancestors. When he opened his eyes, his chest was heavy. He knew this was not just a dream. It was a warning. Later that morning, as the sun blinked through the trees, a stranger arrived. He was tall and wrapped in fine cloth. His eyes were cold like metal, and his smile had no warmth. Behind him walked two messengers, each carrying scrolls tied in red ribbon. "Is this the place where drums talk?" the man asked loudly. "Where boys think they are wiser than kings?" The people were quiet. Arodin stepped forward. "I am the boy," he said calmly. "And this is the drum. It does not belong to me. It belongs to all of us." The man scoffed. "I am Ajil, messenger of the Western Court. I bring order. I bring civilization. I bring paper and ink. What can your tribune toys say that my scrolls cannot?" He waved his scroll. "This," he declared, "is real power." The villagers looked at each other. Some were unsure. They had never seen such fine ropes. Some began to whisper. Maybe he is right. Maybe words on paper are stronger than words in wood. Aroden looked at the people. He saw the doubt in their eyes. He knew what he had to do. That evening, as the sky turned orange and the drums around the fire began to rise in rhythm, Aroden stood up, holding Ayanlomo. He walked into the center of the crowd and raised his voice. "Tonight," he said, "I will not play this drum." Gasps filled the air. Instead, he continued, "I ask each of you to listen. Not with your ears, but with your memory." He placed the drum on the ground and sat beside it. Silence. Then, slowly, he began to speak. He told the story of his mother's lullabies, how they wrapped around him like cloth. He told of the first time he heard the iroko tree breathe. He told of the day he carved the drum, and how the leopard gave its life so that memory could live. He told of the thunder that split the tree not with anger, but with love. He spoke with his heart open. And slowly, the people began to cry. Not out of sorrow, but because they remembered. They remembered the first names they were given. The names only their grandmothers used. They remembered the taste of harvest porridge, the voice of a brother long gone, the way their fathers danced when they thought no one was watching. Even Agil, even he sat quietly, scroll forgotten in his lap. And then, Aroden picked up the drum. Not to perform, but to answer. He struck one beat. "Ba." And the people answered. "Aroden," they cried. "Ayanlomo. Bata. We remember. Tata. We belong. Ba. To. Ba. We are the children of the drum." And in that moment, Odanani glowed, not from fire, but from unity. After the festival ended, Agil stood before Aroden. His face was no longer proud. He removed one of his rings and placed it at the boy's feet. "I came here to take power," he said. "But instead, I found truth." Aroden nodded. "Truth is not in the drum. It is in the people who listen." Agil bowed, not to the boy, but to the drum. But the dream Aroden had seen still haunted him. He knew this was just the beginning. There would come a day when the drum would fall silent. When the people would forget again. When they would trade rhythm for riches, memory for metal. And he also knew, when the drum speaks again, the children will remember who they are. The keeper and the prophecy. After the festival of life, the village of Odanani became a place of great honor across the Yoruba lands. People came not just to trade or dance, but to remember. And in the center of it all sat Ayanlomo, the talking drum, resting quietly when not in use, but always listening. Aroden played less now. Not because the drum was tired, but because he understood something wise: the drum was not his alone. It belonged to the people. To the old man who forgot his own name until the drum reminded him. To the girl who danced like her ancestors were watching. To the little boy who sat near it every day, just listening. That little boy's name was Oak. He was only 7, with wide eyes and a curious heart. Every day, he would come to the drum hut, sit cross-legged, and place his ear against the side of Ayanlomo. "What are you listening for?" the elders would ask him. And he would reply, "The part of the story that hasn't been told yet." Odanani watched him. He smiled. He remembered what it was like to feel the word through your chest before you could speak it with your mouth. To feel the trees whisper, the wind murmur, the ancestors call through the leaves. One night, under a sky full of stars, Odanani called Oak to the Iroko grove. The tree, the same tree that had given the drum its body, stood silent but strong. "I will not live forever," Odanani said softly. Oak looked up at him. "But the drum will." Odanani nodded. "Only if someone listens to it. Only if someone protects it." He opened a small calabash. Inside was white chalk, palm oil, and leaves from the sacred open tree. He drew a symbol on the drum's base, a sword shaped like an ear, a heart, and a river. "This is the mark of memory," Odanani explained. "It is not for power. It is for protection. Only one who listens with humility can carry the drum forward." He turned to Oak. "Do you accept the guardianship?" Oak swallowed. He was only a boy. But something in him, something older, answered, "I do." Odanani handed him a small satchel. "Inside this," he said, "is the binding cloth. If the day comes when the drum must be hidden, wrap it in this. Bury it in a place that still remembers the sound of truth." "Will that day come?" Oak asked. Odanani looked at the moon, now drifting through the sky like a canoe on a sacred river. "Yes," he said. "One day, people will stop listening. They will chase other voices, loud, shiny, fast voices. They will forget their ancestors. They will forget their own names. And the drum," Oak whispered. "The drum will fall silent," Odanani replied. "But it will wait." He placed a hand on Oak's shoulder. "And when the world is ready again, someone like you will find it. Someone who listens not with pride, but with wonder. Someone who asks questions. Someone who walks slowly and feels deeply." He paused. "When the drum is heard again, Oak, the people will remember who they are." Years passed. Odanani grew old. Then older, then became a story told around fires. Some said he walked into the forest and never returned. Others said he became a tree himself, his roots listening forever. But Oak remained. Quiet. Watchful. Faithful. He played the drum sometimes. But more often, he taught others to listen. He told children about their lineage. He reminded them why the drum beat low during grief and high during joy. He told them about the mark of memory, the Iroko tree, the leopard's gift. And every time someone began to forget a name, a song, a story, he would smile gently and say, "Come. Sit by the drum. It remembers for you." But one day, far away, ships began to land. Strangers stepped ashore, carrying crosses, coins, and strange words. They did not understand drums. They feared them. And so, the time came. The day the drum was hidden. But that is a story for another chapter. Let's summarize the story from part 1 to part 2. Long ago, in the sacred Yoruba lands, there was a time when people could no longer speak what lived deep in their hearts. They had tongues, but no true voice for memory, sorrow, or joy. The gods saw this, and in their wisdom, they sent a gift, not of gold or treasure, but of sound. That gift was the talking drum. Through the calling of the Orisha, a boy named Aroden was born, quiet, thoughtful, and deeply connected to the heartbeat of the earth. Guided by the spirit realm, Aroden journeyed into the ancient forest, where the sacred Iroko tree gave itself to him. From its wood, and the skin of a noble leopard, he carved the first talking drum, a living instrument of memory and truth. The drum, named Ayanlomo, the one who remembers through rhythm, had the power to bring back forgotten stories, soften hardened hearts, and speak what mouths could not say. It was not just played, it spoke. And the people listened. Under the night sky, Ayanlomo became the voice of the ancestors. It gave comfort to the grieving, courage to the fearful, and wisdom to the young. It healed the village of Odanani, not by magic, but by reminding them of who they were and who they had always been. But not everyone believed in drums and memory. Far away, a different kind of world was rising, one that believed only in books, coins, and power. A world that feared the old ways. A world that might one day come to silence the drum. Aroden heard the warning. When the drum is silent, the people will forget. When it speaks again, they shall remember who they are. And so the question remains. Will the people remember? Will the drum be protected? What happens when memory meets modernity? Moral lessons and values from part 1 and 2. 1. Heritage is sacred. The drum teaches us that our past is not something to be thrown away, but something to carry with care, through stories, names, and rhythms passed down. 2. Listening is power. Aroden wasn't chosen because he was loud, he was chosen because he knew how to listen. In a world full of noise, the true leaders are those who pause, observe, and hear what others ignore. 3. Courage comes in quiet forms. Aroden didn't fight with weapons. He built something from love, pain, memory, and sacrifice. Real courage often begins with stillness. 4. Truth lives in many forms. Not all truth is written in books. Some is carved in wood. Some is told in song. Some is beaten into a drum by hands that remember. 5. When we forget our roots, we lose our way. The ancestors whisper through rhythm, and the drum reminds us that we are not starting life from scratch, we are continuing a story that began long before us. Bell why you must journey into chapter 2. In chapter 2, the language of wood and skin, we dive deeper into the secrets of the drum. We'll explore how it was used to teach, judge, connect, and communicate across villages, and how even children began to learn the sacred rhythms of truth and justice. But a shadow is forming in the distance. A challenge is coming. And soon, the people must decide. Will they protect the drum, or let it be forgotten? The drum still speaks. But for how long? Thanks for watching.